Hey, welcome back to How to Barbecue Right. I'm Malcolm Reed. Y'all, this is my first cook of the new year. It's finally warming up enough for me to get out in the smokehouse and put some smoke in the air. I'm feeling rib hungry. So I want to do a hot honey rib for you. This is going to be sweet flavors, meets spicy heat flavors with some smoke from the Outlaw, little hickory wood. I know it's going to be delicious. Come eat some with me. Let's get to cooking. So for these ribs, y'all, I'm doing some St. Louis cut spare ribs. I picked these up at my local grocery store. I want to cut them down because we do have a lot of this rib tip left on here. Now, if it's an eaten rib, you want to leave it on and gnaw on that cartilage, that's fine. But I like to go ahead and take it off. And what I do is I kind of lay the ribs out straight as I can get them. And I look at the bones. Wherever the longest bone, usually it's about the third or fourth bone, that's about the longest. You can kind of feel where it goes from bone to cartilage, and that gets off in that rib tip area. So all I do is I kind of, just think of squaring it off. If I was making an imaginary line going right over the top of that knuckle, I would go right down this rib, just like that. I mean, there's some meat in there, but if you notice, everywhere there's cartilage, bone, and you could use this, you could smoke it, use it for flavoring meat. Kind of make some tasso, something like that. Be good for beans. And some people like to gnaw on it, but when I'm doing spare ribs and I want them to look really good, I cut them down a little bit. I mean, that rib just squares up nice. A lot of times I'll come in and I'll just kind of count my rib bones and see how many I have. I want at least 10 good bones. Usually I skip the first one or two on each end, so that'll give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So really I could drop right in here. For these, I think I'm just gonna go inside that little second one. We're gonna square that off right in between. And then on this end, I'm just gonna turn it over. And I'd like to knock this one off too. You don't have to cook them like I am, but I'm trying to make some real pretty ribs for y'all today. So now, all we're left with, a little bit of fat on this side. What you can do is you can take your knife, just kind of work it shallow. Just start working some of that off. A lot of times you'll get down to some sinew, some of that connective tissue. And once again, I'll take my knife, kind of keep it shallow and get right up under it. Try to take that off real easy. Sharp knife helps here, but all I did was take that barrier off so I'm down to the meat. We'll take off a little bit of this fat up at the top side too. Sometimes if I've got some thick fat like that, I'll just score it a little bit. It's gonna break down. Some of this thicker, harder fat will actually render. The sticky, sinewy stuff won't, but this stuff will. So I'll just take my knife and kind of score it a little bit. Got to get this membrane off. I know there's debate over that, whether you leave it on, leave it off. To me, it's a barrier. It's gonna prevent my seasoning from getting down to the meat on that back side, and it can get tough and chewy, so I don't like that when I'm eating ribs either. So I always take it off. There's really no right or wrong way, but what I do, the easiest way for me is just grab some paper towel and go down, and then just kind of use your fingers and work. You'll pull it up. Paper towel helps you get grip. If it breaks on you, no problem, just keep going at it. But once you get a good enough piece started, use that paper towel as your advantage, kind of wad it up a little bit, and then just pull straight down. And now I'm just going in and taking off some of this thicker fat, just trying to make these ribs pretty. I want them to look good at the end, so if I put the work in now on the trim at the beginning, they're gonna look good, they're gonna taste better because the seasoning's gonna be better. Might be mental to me, but I like to do them this way. So I'm feeling spicy on these ribs, y'all, so I'm gonna kick it up today. The first thing, I'm gonna use a little hot sauce binder. I know you've seen me use mustard and a few other things. Really like the vinegar element that the hot sauce has. Now my hot sauce doesn't burn you down, so it's not gonna add a ton of heat, but it does have some spice. So what I'm gonna do is flip these ribs over. We're gonna start with the bone side. I'm doing all 3 racks the exact same way. And we just wanna shake some down and use your hands to kind of spread it around. This is gonna give us a little liquid, give us a little flavor on the meat, but it's gonna help the rub stick to them. It smells dang good. I got a garlicky note to it. I'm using my hot rub today, but you could use any rub you want. I like the spice it's gonna get. It's got plenty of salt, plenty of pepper, and the sugar content's a lot lower in this one. We're gonna get our sweet from the hot honey. That's plenty for the backside. You don't wanna get too heavy. We're not trying to make like a muddy bark on them, but I want them well seasoned. Now we're gonna flip them over, same treatment. Garlicky hot sauce on top, help that rub stick. We're just gonna run that hot rub right over the top. Good even layer, not too thick, but well coated. Now we're gonna fire the pit up, let these ribs sit here and sweat on the cutting board. I've got some Royal Oak charcoal going in my fire basket. Start it with a couple tumbleweeds. Leave that pit open to get that fire good and hot. When you got a good coal bed, that's when it's gonna be time to start adding our sticks of wood. But I'm bringing that pit up to about 275. That's when we're gonna put these ribs on. That Outlaw is ginning, y'all. We got that hickory smoke rolling. We're gonna take them and we're gonna put them right in here straight. So just spread them out a little bit. You want good airflow. You want the bone straight. And I like to just bunch them just a little bit. Seems to make them stand up a little taller. That's all we got to do though. We're gonna run it at 275. We're gonna check on them in about an hour. Probably ain't gonna do nothing to them. I'm just gonna let them sit here and get happy in that smoke. Now, while our ribs are smoking, I'm working on this hot honey braising liquid that I'm gonna put in the wrap. And I'm gonna start with 1 cup light brown sugar. And then I've got a bottle of this Martinelli's apple juice. It's really, really fresh apple juice. It's about 10 ounces. Now, in my wrap, I need about 1/4 cup for each slab of ribs, so I'm gonna have plenty of liquid. To get that hot honey effect, I picked up a bottle of this at Kroger. It's just spicy Mike's Hot Honey. It's got chilies in it. It's really, really good. And I found that it goes really good on ribs, but I've just got 1/4 cup that we're gonna put in our wrap liquid. Then we need a little bit of tangy vinegar sauce. We'll do 1/4 cup as well. So keep those barbecue flavors going. Has a little heat to it, it's not too hot, but we get that acidity, and that's what I really want from the vinegar. 3.5, 4 minutes in your microwave. This will be bubbling hot. It's gonna melt all that sugar that's in there. It's gonna incorporate everything, and then it gives it time to sit out at room temperature and kind of cool off, so I'm not just putting it screaming hot in my rib wrap. What do you think it tastes like? Ooh, sweet and spicy right there, I like it. All right, y'all, it's been just right at an hour. I want to see what our ribs are doing. This is where I like to really look at them. I mean, you can see our ribs sticking fantastic. If you can touch these ribs and nothing's coming off of them, that's what I want to see. Like when I rub them, that seasoning's adhered to it. Let me get just a little bit of moisture on them. They're not ready yet. I'm just adding a little bit of water. I poked a few holes in this water bottle, just shaking it on top, just to give them a little bit of moisture. I don't really want to put any more flavor on them. Just wet them up a little bit. And I'm just adding sticks of wood as needed. I'm getting about 45 minutes on a burn on it, and it's holding my temp steady at 275. So we are right on time, y'all. It's been exactly 2 hours since these ribs hit the Outlaw. I didn't do anything else to them after I squirted them with a little bit of water, but I want y'all to see that color. This is what you want those ribs to look like when it's time to wrap them. They are beautiful. Seasoning's adhered to the outside. They're not too dark. Beautiful color on the backside too. Let's get them in the wrap. So I've got me 6 strips of aluminum foil teared off and just stacked up here. I'm gonna double wrap these ribs. All we're gonna do is take them meat side down first. I do want to watch my internal temperatures, so I'm grabbing this ThermoWorks RFX. I'm gonna go ahead and stick the probe. I've never done this, so I haven't wrapped the probe completely up. I'm gonna see if it'll transmit through the foil, through the smoker, and read on my phone. Then I'm gonna take the foil, make sure I got 2 layers, kind of bunch it up a little bit so I don't lose my liquid. We're gonna put 1/2 cup in each rack. So we're just gonna drizzle this right over the top. It's gonna run down the sides. That's what I want to see. Then on top of that, I went with that expensive butter today. Got some of that Kerrygold butter, pure Irish butter. I'm gonna take it, cut it in half, put the whole stick on there, but I just want to spread it out. You can leave it in stick form. But what this is gonna do, if you keep this butter really, really cold, cut it in half like this and lay it over that rib, it's gonna take it longer to melt down. It's gonna protect those back bones and keep them from popping out so bad. They may still blow out a little, but this does help. So we're just gonna take our ribs, fold it over, make sure all that good juice stays up under there. Seal that down, take our ends, fold it once, all the way back over. This makes it really, really easy to get back in here and check our temperatures. But we've got a nice little package going right there, nice and tight. It's gonna help it steam inside there. It's gonna break these ribs down. Now we're ready to go right back on the grate. We're just gonna spread them out. We're gonna make sure meat goes down. We're ready to let them get tender. This is the easy part. Now let me get these gloves off so we can check our fire, because the most important part of the wrap is holding that steady heat. So we've still got pretty good log going. I may give it one of these small ones, just to bump that heat back up. Whenever you open that pit, you're gonna lose some temp. This one recovers pretty good. Lay that stick right there. It's gonna take it just a second. We should see some flames coming. We got some pretty good fire. There we go. Close it up. Let it roll. So our probe is reading 150.6. I want it to climb up to north of 200 degrees. That's where I like to take St. Louis cut ribs to. So all we gotta do is watch the app. Hope it keeps reading through the pit. I think it will. Kick back. So we've been rocking and rolling about 1.5 hours. That's about how long I thought they would take. Now my RFX is telling me we're reaching about 207 internal. So I'm gonna pull this dude off first, and that's the first one we're gonna look at. When I pick it up, ooh, that joker's full of juice, and it's soft. I can tell the way that full bends right there. You wanna see that. Since we can get in this full real easy, just fold it back and then open it up. Now, I'm looking for bone pullback, which I see that butter melted. They smell fantastic, y'all. But I like to take another probe and just feel them. 204, 205. I mean, it feels really soft. We're seeing 206 down here in the thinner end. These ribs are ready for the rest. Now, I don't rest ribs every time, but if I got the time, I'm definitely giving them a rest. Today, I got time. I want them to be good. So I'd like to see them go about an hour in this box. And this isn't a fancy cooler. This is just one of them little Coleman party stacker coolers, but it works perfect for holding meat. So I just drop those ribs in there and get the lid on them and just let them hang out. You can come by every 15 minutes or so, let a little bit of steam out. I gotta check these other ribs, get them in the box, then it's gonna be time to glaze after a short rest. All right, now after an hour rest, these ribs are ready to finish up. The rest isn't 100% required, but it does make for a better rib. They're gonna be juicier, they're gonna have a better bite, that texture, that's what you want. And it lets that cooking process stop and they just chill out. I think it makes a better rib. Be real careful because they're still screaming hot. You don't want to let that juice run everywhere, but it's inevitable, it's gonna run out. But what I want to do is get them out of all this liquid. But look at that, y'all. That's a thing of beauty right there. Now, they're super tender at this point. You got to be careful with them. They're juicy. That seasoning looks good on them, but they're not ready to eat. We got to glaze them. This is what I like to do to make these ribs look their absolute best, taste their absolute best. We're gonna start the glazing process. Now I like to hit them with a little bit more of that same hot rub that we used at the beginning. This is just gonna bring some color back to them, pretty them up a little bit. We're gonna stick them back on the pit for 5 minutes. I've still got the Outlaw running at 275. You don't really have to add a lot more wood at this. You just wanna keep those temps up. But we want it to be dying down because now we're just gonna set a glaze, but it starts with this first step, putting a little dry rub on them and drying them out just a little bit. We're gonna shut the lid and let's set a 5-minute timer. Now we're getting our color back, y'all. That's why I put that rub on there and just let it go 5 minutes. It starts melting it really quick. We get some real pretty color. And this is all we're gonna do is drizzle some of your favorite barbecue sauce right on top. Real gentle light, just spreading that sauce over it. We gotta get back on the pit though. All right. Well, these dudes were on there about 7 minutes on that backside. It looks beautiful. Let's flip them over. Now we're gonna work on the money side. First, they're gonna get that same treatment. A little bit of rub. They need about 5 minutes. Quick 5 minutes. Look at that. The rub just makes them pop, man. That's all it is. This is what we're gonna do to this side. First, we're gonna hit them with that same barbecue sauce. Just gonna put a light coat right down the middle. And I'm just gonna kind of brush it over real gentle. And then I'm gonna take that hot honey and we're gonna do a drizzle and then just kind of blend it just a little bit real lightly. Now we need about 7 to 10 minutes. I'm just gonna kind of watch them. When they get that candy look that I want, that's when I'm taking them off. All right, I can't take it no more. I gotta eat some hot honey ribs, y'all. This is what they need to look like. That sauce is tacked up on them, glazed down. They got that candy shellac look. If I didn't know any better, that'd look like a contest rib. Let's get them over at the board. Now that wasn't a bad rib cook at all. I think we smoked them for about 2 hours, wrapped them for about an hour and a half, let them rest. That was the hard part. And then we put that hot honey glaze on them. Now the best part, y'all, I get to try them. So let's cut these ribs up. All I'm doing is taking my knife and getting right in between that bone. That's a beautiful rib, folks. Smoke ring, beautiful color. But how does it taste? Y'all know I'm fixing to find out. Perfect bite. Got some spice to it. Boom, perfectly clean. You get the hickory smoke. You get the sweetness, the hot rub, but then that honey comes in and you get all that spice, and it is nice. Hey, y'all, thanks for hanging out here today with us at How to Barbecue Right. If you like what we're doing, subscribe to that channel. You know we're gonna be putting out stuff all year long. You can find us on all the social platforms. Shell and I have a How to Barbecue Right podcast that we sit down and do every week where we talk about these recipes, all kinds of other fun stuff. So if y'all aren't listening to that, y'all better tune in. We'll see you next time. It's time to get down on some ribs. All right. That was a slow burn bite. Savored that one.